Build your dreams, live rich, and leave rich.
Let's be honest for a second. Have you ever looked at a stock chart and just felt completely lost? All those spiky lines, the peaks, the valleys, it can seriously look like some kind of secret code. But what if I told you that inside every single one of those charts, there's actually a simple story being told? Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain, we're going to demystify the market, and break down the basics of technical analysis together. Okay, first things first. Let's just bust a huge myth right out of the gate. You've seen it in the movies, right? The trader with like 6 different screens, numbers flashing everywhere, charts that look more like the cockpit of a spaceship than anything else. Here's the truth. You do not need all that chaos. In fact, for most people, all that extra stuff is just noise, a distraction from the one thing that actually matters, which is the price itself.
So just imagine clearing all of that away. What if you could learn to read the market's mood, which way it's leaning, and where it might be headed next, all from looking at one clean, simple chart? Now that's not just some nice idea. That is the core promise of what we're talking about today. It's about learning the basic language of price. And in this explainer, we're going to get you started with your very first lesson.
So here's how we're going to do it. First, we'll start with the big idea, a simple analogy that's going to make this whole thing click. Then we'll dive into the most important skill of all, decoding the trend. After that, we'll talk about how this is different from other ways of looking at stocks, why it's so fast, and we'll finish up with a simple, practical first step you can take as soon as we're done here. Sound good?
So what is technical analysis when you strip it all down to its core? Well, the absolute best way to understand it is to think of yourself as a forecaster, but you're not trying to predict if it's going to rain or be sunny. You're forecasting the market's weather. Now, here's the official kind of textbook definition, straight from the National Institute of Securities Markets. It says, technical analysis is the approach to forecast price direction by studying historical market data, specifically price and volume. Okay, what does that actually mean? It just means we're looking at what the market has done in the past to make a really good, educated guess about what it might do next. That's it.
And this brings us right back to our market weather idea, doesn't it? Think about it. A meteorologist doesn't have to understand the deep physics of every single atom in a cloud to tell you a storm is coming. No way. Instead, they study historical patterns, things like air pressure, wind direction, and humidity to make their forecast. A technical analyst, they're doing the exact same thing. They're just using different data. They study past price movements and trading volume to predict where the price might go.
All right, so we've got the big idea down. Now let's move on to the most fundamental skill of all. This is about learning to see the market's direction, or what analysts simply call the trend.
Now take a look at this chart. It really simplifies everything. See where it says trough? That's just a fancy word for the bottom of a move, like the bottom of a valley. And peak? That's the top, like a mountaintop. So when the price keeps making higher peaks and higher troughs, we say it's in a rising trend channel. It's basically climbing a staircase. And when it's making lower peaks and lower troughs, well, it's in a declining trend channel. It's heading down the stairs. This right here, this is the basic grammar of the market's language.
Now, this whole way of thinking is built on a few core beliefs. First, that price is simply driven by a tug of war between supply and demand. How many people are buying versus how many are selling. Second, and this one is so important, prices move in trends, and those trends tend to stick around for a while. The idea is that you can actually spot when a trend is changing just by looking at the chart. And finally, the big one, the belief that all the known information out there, all the news, the company earnings, everything, is already baked into the stock's current price.
So you might be wondering, how does this fit in with all the other ways people analyze stocks? It really helps to think about the two major schools of thought because they're trying to answer two totally different questions. So on one hand, you have what's called fundamental analysis. Think of this like being a detective. You're digging deep into a company's financial health, its management, the whole economy, all to figure out its true or intrinsic value. This method is all about answering the question, what company should I buy? Then, on the other hand, you have technical analysis. It's not really trying to figure out a company's intrinsic value at all. It just assumes the market already did that work. Instead, it's looking at the chart to answer a very different question. When is a good time to buy or sell it? See the difference? They're not enemies. They're just different tools for different jobs. Now you might be thinking, well, if fundamental analysis is so thorough, why would anyone just look at a chart? And the answer really comes down to one huge advantage: speed.
Yeah, technical analysis gives you a massive shortcut. You don't have to spend days or even weeks buried in complicated financial reports. The chart gives you an instant snapshot of the market's psychology.
You're seeing the battle between buyers and sellers play out in real time. This lets an analyst spot a shift in market sentiment, in momentum, really quickly. And that ability to make fast decisions is exactly why it's so popular, especially with traders who are in and out of the market more quickly.
Okay, so we've covered the big idea, the basic language of trends, and the main advantage. Now let's bring this all back down to earth. What is the very first, simple step you can take to start seeing the market in this powerful new way?
Here's what I want you to do, and it's crucial that you hear this. Your journey starts by just looking. Seriously, open up any free charting website and pull up a major index, something like the Nifty 50. Now, using what we just talked about, the peaks and the troughs, the staircase up and the staircase down, just try to spot a simple trend. Don't worry about buying or selling or predicting anything. Your only goal right now is to observe. You have to learn to see the story before you ever think about becoming a part of it.
Because that's really what this is all about. It's about shifting your perspective. It's about going from seeing these charts as intimidating noise to understanding that they're a narrative, a story of human emotion, of supply and demand, all playing out in real time. It's a powerful tool to have. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If every single chart tells a story, what story is the market telling you today?